Good evening and welcome to Wednesday Nights with Miss Barbara. This is going to be our last lesson for this school year, which is fitting because it's the end of the school year. We don't usually go this long at our church, but I thought it might be fun to continue some lessons, a little something for you to keep God in your mind and in your heart, as well as Jesus. We have been talking about kids in the Bible, and I hope that it has not only helped you learn about Bible stories, but I hope that's given you a little bit of inspiration. Maybe it says, hey, just because I'm small or just because I'm young doesn't mean that I'm not important to God and that I can't do big things, because you can do very big things. So tonight, our last person that we're going to talk about in the Bible doesn't have a name. They had a name. Jesus probably knew what his name was. God always knew what his name was. We don't know what his name was, and we don't know his actual age. He would have been around a upper elementary, so maybe a fourth grader, fifth grader, something like that. He was a young boy, and he was there, and he got to meet Jesus. So that's a pretty cool part of the story. Children flocked to Jesus. If you remember, Jesus loves little children, and in the stories, they would come to Jesus, and the disciples would say, "No, pull your children back." And what would Jesus say? Let the children come to me. And in this story, he proves that, and he shows in another way that he does in fact love children and that he wants to be near them and see them. They are having a dinner for a lot of people. Anybody remember how many people would have been at this dinner? Really, really big dinner, not Last Supper, go even bigger. Maybe 5,000. The feeding of the 5,000. What did they eat at the feeding of the 5,000? They ate two things. One of them was bread. What was the other one? Fish. Good job if you got that right. And who supplied the bread and the fish? The little boy. Did he have enough to feed everybody in his basket? Does anybody remember how much of each he had? How many loaves of bread did he have? 5. How many fish did he have? 2. Would that feed 5,000 people? Have you ever been someplace with 5,000? I'm trying to think of where it would be 5,000 people. Maybe a football game, like a really, really big football game, like a college football game or something, might have had 5,000 people. I don't know that I've been in a college stadium, so maybe I've been with 5,000 other people. And it wasn't fun to try to use the restroom in there, so I can't imagine trying to feed all those people from one thing. So let's listen to the story. I actually have it on our screen here. Let's talk about the story. Okay. Jesus saw a large crowd. He felt deep concern for them. He healed their sick people. Late in the afternoon, the disciples came to him. They said, "Send the crowd away. They can go find food." "There's nothing here," Jesus replied. "They don't need to go away. You give them something to eat." Andrew spoke up. "Here is a boy. He has 5 loaves of bread. He also has 2 small fish. But how far will that go?" I love the little animation of that little boy. He's so cute. Jesus told the people to sit on the grass. He took the loaves and the fishes. He gave thanks. He broke them into pieces. He gave them to disciples to set in front of the people. Wow, look at how much Jesus is holding. That's a lot more than 5 and 2. And multiplied right there. When all of them had had enough to eat, Jesus said, "Gather the leftover pieces. Don't waste anything." The disciples picked up 12 baskets of leftover pieces. The number of men who ate was about 5,000. Women and children also ate. So, we talked about this story before in church or Sunday school on Wednesday nights. We talked about the fact that 5,000 only counted the men. And Emerson could probably tell you why they only counted men, but she's not here, so I'll do it. Women, unfortunately, weren't as important back in those days. So in the Bible, they would have just counted the men that were sitting there. There would have been tons of women and tons of children. So were there just 5,000 people eating? There were 5,000 plus Jesus, plus the 12 disciples, plus women, and plus children. That is a whole lot of people. And it's one of Jesus's, starts with an M, miracles. It's one of Jesus' miracles. But this time, with the miracle, a little boy was involved. A child not only got to witness the miracle, but be a part of the miracle. And I like that he is a part of this story. Are you a part of God's story? Are you a part of Jesus' story? Not in the Bible, you're not, but you are a part of a story. There's a story written just for you. Blew your mind, didn't I? You are important, even though you're small, even though you're little, or even though you're young. Maybe you're only a third grader. Maybe you're only a kindergartner. Maybe you're just in preschool. You're not even at the big school yet. Maybe you can't read. Maybe you don't know how to do multiplication. But God has a story for you. He has a plan for you, just like these other children in the Bible. So I want you to think for a second, what do you think God wants for you? He wants good things. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to be successful. He wants you to love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. So I want you to do those things. What else do you think God has in store for you? Do you think you know what it is? We might have a guess as to the plan that God has for us, but I don't think we really know, do we? We didn't come with a Bible that, flip over to chapter Barbara Shipley. That'd be kind of cool. But that's not in there, so we don't know what our plan is. We just have to keep on what? Praying, reading the Bible, talking to God, so that we can find out. So I want you to think for a moment, even though you're small, what do you think God has in store for you? Do you think that you could fight a giant and win with God on your side? Which child of the Bible did this? Who fought the giant and won? Later became a king. David. Do you think God has plans for you to be a protective sibling, a protective older brother or older sister? Which child, in the Bible was the protective older sister that watched after her baby brother and then helped reunite her mom and her brother together? It starts with an M. She's Moses' sister, Miriam. Did you get Miriam? Do you think God has plans for you to be a best friend and to watch out for that friend and protect that friend? Which child of the Bible was a great friend to David and who did all in his power to protect him? Jonathan. Did you say Jonathan? Jonathan was Saul's son. Do you think God has plans to speak to you directly through a dream or when you're awake? Maybe. Which child of the Bible heard God speaking to him? There are lots of people who heard God speaking, but this one was a child. And he's going to hear him a couple of times, and he's going to run to the other person in the house thinking that they were talking to him. And that person, Eli, is going to say, no, it wasn't me, it was God. Do you remember which child that was? Starts with an S. Samuel. Do you think God has plans for you to go through a lot of terrible things only to wind up being a great leader and a person who forgives? Do you think you're destined to be a leader? I hope you're destined to be a person who forgives. Which child of the Bible went through a lot of really bad stuff? He got a special coat. His brothers betrayed him and sold him. He was in jail. And then he became a leader and he forgave those who did so wrong to him. Remember which child of the Bible that was? Starts with a J. Joseph. Do you think that God is calling you to be a leader at a young age? Not until you get older, but at a very young age. Do you think God is calling you to restore faith in the community? Which child of the Bible became a leader at a very young age, and as he got older, restored something very, very special to God and his religion? This one also starts with a J. Josiah. Or do you think that you are destined to be a part of a big story, part of a miracle? Maybe you're not going to perform the miracle, but you might witness it or be a part of one, be a part of a big story that Jesus has. Perhaps. I'd like you to think about maybe what it is that God has in store for you. And I would love for you to write it down, and I would love for you to share it with me. And I want you to know that no matter what you think right now, that I can tell you that God does have something big planned for you. He does indeed. He knows you. He loves you. And he cares for you. And he wants you to keep talking to him. And he wants you to share his love with other people. He wants you to be a wonderful, wonderful person. Small, medium, large, young, old, super old. God has a plan for you, and it's a very, very special one. And I can't wait to see it played out. And I am so lucky that I get to see many of these plans unfold right before me. It's a very exciting part of being a Sunday school teacher or being someone in the church that gets to watch smaller ones grow up. So I hope that you will remember that. This is a great story, the stories of the loaves and fishes. It's one that you could tell to your parents or to a sibling. I bet you could even tell it without the Bible, but you could pull out the Bible. Maybe you could even act it out at dinner tonight. That might be kind of fun to remember Jesus' miracle and how he included a child in that miracle. So I hope that you have a good week. It's going to be a rainy week. And I hope that you enjoyed these video lessons. I know it's not the way we had planned to do it, but sometimes when God closes a door, he opens a window. Well, things got complicated in the world, but God didn't stop wanting us to hear about him and reading and learning. So he gave me this opportunity. He said, hey, take the phone and record it and upload it so that other children can hear the message. And that's what I've done. And I hope that you've enjoyed them. And I hope that you will come back and continue to listen to them as long as I do them. This will be the last Wednesday night one, but I will continue to do some on Sundays, Sunday schools. And sometimes I add in some lessons here and there and some stories. So have a good week. And remember that God has big plans for you.